Welcome to Vlog Thursday number 385. How are we doing today? Where's everybody coming from? I'll go ahead and throw that in the chat. I do like that. I haven't asked that in a while, and it's not that it has become less interesting. I just know people from all over the place, but it's cool when I see people tell me from where they come from, whether it's my European people, my Australian friends, or anywhere else around the globe that people are coming from. Occasionally, I know there's a few of you that are even right here local, and that's cool as well. So let's go ahead and start off with the craziness because we can't stop. It's been a nonstop situation here for creating more swag, and a swagging we have created. It's I don't know when it's going to be done, but there's a backlog of ideas and no one to execute them. So now that Matt is going through and executing on all these ideas, we've got desk mats, we've got these hats and everything else. I just thought this was fun, and I got to be at MSP GeekCon. That was last week. Had a wonderful time seeing so many of you in person. It was super cool, and so we started just throwing more swag together because of the positive feedback. So because of all of you, it made us make more things. It's hard to even there's so much on here now. And by the way, if you haven't noticed, there's been a higher level of interaction in some of the community posts because I gave Matt permission to post and see what the community wants. And as suggestions have come in from shirts and things like that, we have also listened to the audience and made different variations of things based on that. So yeah. That's definitely full circle. I listen to the community, engage with the community. And so I just want to give a shout out. Thank you for all of you that have ordered swag. But any of you interested in any of it, there's way more on the shop than there was last week. There's actually more being published. I just finished another meeting with Matt because he's got more things that he's publishing on here. So yeah, that's just shout out for that. We are going to be doing some updates and membership and things like that. That's coming. I'm kind of doing a channel revamp. The content's not changing. The content is what it is. It's all those ancillary things around the content we're going to be upgrading because eventually, and I mentioned this before, but execution on it didn't happen yet because I need some help. We're going to be doing secondary live streams. So I'll have the primary live streams, but I want to rebuild the Discord and Matt's going to help me with that. So watch out for that where I do, this live stream and then probably another live stream along with some other extra added bonus content type stuff. The goal is I'm going to take a lot of pictures and everything for all the things going on. And then the behind the scenes stuff will get dropped by Matt. He'll throw it on the channel and everything else. I see people saying MSP GeekCon was great. It was definitely a fun time. I had a lot. My voice is slowly recovering. I was really rough the other day. So that's a certain challenge I had was even like my voice was hoarse. It's still a little hoarse. Especially because this being my first day back after being gone a week of travel, this is where everyone stacked up all the meetings. So I've had nonstop meetings today, which is fine. I like meeting with people and doing the things I do because when I'm not creating content, I do what we call, got hiccups a little bit. I do solutions design. So my solutions design meetings were with a few people today. I love getting back into it. Even though I'm gone for a week, the ideas were really streaming. Actually, a lot of ideas came from people at MSP GeekCon. There were a lot more business ideas I have that I'm going to put together some talks on. So you'll find those over at our business technicality channels. People were asking me a lot about the merger because we have been merged now since July of last year. It's not far away. We're 8 or 9 months into the merger. Someone says, "Hey, how come you and Jason don't hate each other?" And I said, I had people ask me that in a couple of variety ways. So I will push some talks on the business technicality side to detail things out of how things are going, why things are going well, what had to be done to make things go well for people that are interested in the merger and acquisition and business side of merging tech companies together. Hey, I'm an open book on that. And my goal is if I can have other people have a happier merger, that would be better. That's one of the things I had mentioned to people is everyone has, a bias. You have to figure out what that bias is. And if it's a lawyer or someone selling you a course on mergers and acquisitions, well, their bias is to sell you on the course, not necessarily merge companies. My goal is just, I like the views on the business technicality stuff. So there's a goal. But it's just to kind of share with the community, because when I give feedback to the community, the things I discussed with them comes back at me in advice in a lot of different ways. And, like I see people saying, hey, it was fun meeting with you. So it's just this whole circle of, the rising tide, and part of the purpose of the MSP Geek community was to be able to go through and do that. Like, hey, let's all help each other. Let's level each other up and share some knowledge. So that's my thoughts on that. One of the things I will mention here, and I have some older videos on it, and maybe I do need to make some newer videos. I will pull this up because for confusing reasons, well, not too confusing, someone said something stupid, and I don't necessarily react specifically to stupid, so I don't nearly have to do the talk about whatever dumb thing happened, but I can say I probably should do a new and updated review, because yes, Signal is still secure. This has been brought into question from time to time, but yeah, Signal's doing great. They've added more features, and I just think it's a pretty awesome organization. This is something really important, because people ask me about other messengers. And one of the reasons I'm always talking about using Signal, and I'm reminded of it at every large event, I'm trying to see if it can give me a number here. I'm trying to remember how many people are involved. Does it give me a count? This one's only 50 people. There's about 50 people in one of the Signal groups I have right now. For each time we go to an event, me and my technical friends who travel to these different events, we start a Signal group dedicated towards that event, and it works out really well. It's a great messaging platform, but it's run as an organization that allows you to basically trust the fact that they're not putting ads in. They have funding, and it's a clear funding model based on donations and people who want to pay money for the service, which does include me. I actually have a recurring donation that goes to Signal. I have set this up. You can do one-time fees, and I think that's important because they're very clear on what it takes to run it on the background, and I get a lot of value out of the service. I'm actually not opposed to things such as, what do you call it? Like paying for social media type of services, because the ad system generally leads to not good outcomes or people selling your data. But if we have certain services that we pay for, hey, I think it's a lot better. Let's see here. Space Siege's been trying to get some people using his new toy. Yeah, that's basically, I don't have to address any details related to that. I will just let people know, in case you're wondering, those who know security, those who are in that circle are all still using Signal happily, despite what other people may say. Just throwing it out there. So there's my little rant on Signal Messenger. Not really a rant, just some commentary on it. I'm going to I'll do a separate LinkedIn post because it's going to be more business related. One of the destinations I had during my travels, while I was gone for a week, MSP GeekCon was only part of that travel. The other part of the travel was me being over at the people at NinjaOne. So NinjaOne is really great. They bring us in for their customer advisory board, or CAB meetings as they call them. So we went there. I got to see new products that are being developed, or more enhancements, I should say, of the existing products. So that was really cool. It was really neat just hanging out with and interacting directly with all the NinjaOne people. So that was part of the travels I had. Really great time. For those that ask, like with the merger, did we go with NinjaOne or did we stay with some of the ConnectWise things that Jason was using? We're still using NinjaOne top to bottom or not top to bottom really, because we don't use every product they have. But yes, we do use NinjaOne for the IT services. Yes, and just like the Bearded IT Dad said here, if you're not paying for the services, you are the service. Selling people's data has become so commonplace. I love when the breath of fresh air. I don't mind paying for things. It's definitely it doesn't bother me. Like, cool. I mean, I don't mind paying for premium not to get ads, but I like when a service can stay, hey, we just don't have ads because people pay for it, and that's good, especially when they're set up as an organization that has very strict rules, and Signal is an example of people that do not have much information on you to turn over to anyone. So yes. Yeah, you would talk to talking to the NinjaOne people. They have a lot of really cool people that work there. Most of their product is built by former people who worked in the IT services and MSP space, have come there to be the project leaders, and they've done a good job because they know the job. They aren't going around asking, how do I solve this problem? They had this problem. Now they get to write the solution to the problem. So I think it's one of the reasons they've done such a good job developing them as a product, and especially the team they've built over the last couple of years is really some top level people that are just, I'm not just saying that because I like to hang out with those people, because I'd hang out with them even if they didn't work there, but definitely a good time. Now, I think I talked a little bit about this last time with firewalls. I am almost done with my video about, I'm going to call it, why I'm not using OPNsense. Probably, I don't know. The number of people that just can't help themselves but keep saying about OPNsense, and I kind of don't understand the intrigue people have for it, especially because it's just kind of missing a few advanced features that I've learned. The more I dig into it, and I hate having to dig into it, but it's kind of like, all right, I'm going to put something concise with links to everything to kind of discuss my position on OPNsense. Like, I don't have any specific dislike, but I can't find any compelling reason to use it over pfSense, which is, of course, whenever I do a pfSense video, the all caps brigade of people that you must be using OPNsense, Tom. I can't follow you unless you use it. I don't really understand that attitude, but whatever. I'll make an explainer reply video for those people, and they can all just watch that video so they have a better understanding of how these things work and the inner workings of it. I've debated too about maybe, and I don't know if there's enough compelling reason. Maybe someone can throw me a message in my forums and convince me otherwise. Like, OpenWRT is actually, I think, kind of interesting, but it's a hard sell compared to you straight up pfSense. So yeah, that's basically the kind of challenge. Now, this I'll address right away. I actually am a little excited. I will say, because I mentioned this before, I did sign an NDA with the folks over at UniFi so they could send me the beta releases of the firewall. So I actually knew about the DNS stuff. They're finally catching up to where they needed to be. It did take them a long time, so I can still complain if I'm looking for something to complain about. But ultimately, I didn't complain for the sake of complaining. I complained because these are things we need. And now that they're getting all the way over to the things we need, the UniFi firewalls, much more interesting. The fact that their failover mode works like it does, much more interesting. Like, cool, you've got the features that we're looking for, and DNS being one of them as they get that. So yeah, it's definitely a big bonus to see like the progress that's being made, because for a lot of it already fit a lot of needs with its basics that it had, but I knew the home lab audience and much of the technical audience I have here want something a little more than those basic needs. So as UniFi, I mean, I had mentioned before, like for family members, it's a kind of a no-brainer. I'll give them UniFi. It auto updates. It works. It's like for any family member, yeah. But that's usually not the audience here. This isn't the general technical people. Generally, I find the people here to be much more tech savvy, and they're looking for those extra features. So definitely good to see UniFi coming along with all that. Why on earth people trying their personal identity to tie their personal identity to the product? I don't know. If you've seen products, me, yeah, that is such a weird one. That where people tell me someone told me I'm a biased journalist for not covering OPNsense, and the simple answer I've had is OPNsense is slow on security. That's a fact. They are slow on it, and that alone is enough for me to stop. But I went ahead and went further and started making notes on why I'm not using OPNsense. I've only got a few of the notes done. I have a handful more to put in, but this will be completely a forum post with, I bring all the links for any of this. Here's an easy example that I'll be talking about here is going to be things like, VPN performance. It's slower. And this isn't like pfSense. This is an OPNsense forum post talking about the differences in VPN. I'm not sourcing this information from pfSense as some type of bias. I'm sourcing their forums in the discussion. So it's just one of those things. I mean, use it if it makes you happy. I'm not telling you not to use it. I'm just saying why I don't use it. Yeah, people are kind of weird how they do that. I don't understand. Still getting rid of the foggy brain hangover from MSP Geek County recommendations. Lots of water, lots of fresh air. I don't know. That definitely, Tom definitely got caught up in all the party atmosphere around me. I had a great time. Yeah. Now, this is something that people did bring up, and I think it's a fair test and a fair assessment. Is there's not a lot of information on how fast the VPN is inside the UniFi devices. So I will probably do a video, not comparing it to pfSense because the pfSense has documented speeds, and pfSense is not a fixed speed in the same way UniFi is because there's so much variety in the hardware you can use for pfSense. You can load it on your own, you can virtualize it, or you get varied models from high end to low end with pfSense, but they've documented the VPN speeds with pfSense. This is a problem, I think, with UniFi because if this is something they need to cover in the enterprise space, like how fast is your VPN? That's a really important question because I want to set up a site to site. I know the bandwidth I have available at each one of these sites, and is that full amount of bandwidth if I have a VPN between two of these sites using UniFi? What amount of bandwidth is available based on which product? I don't know. I'm probably going to keep it simple to an iPerf test. Maybe I'll get around to setting up an iMix traffic generator, but I don't have one right now. I don't think there's any easy ones to set up. I'll have to look into that because iPerf and iPerf is single stream. iMix is going to be multiple streams of varied data, which really tells you what the VPN is. But of course, the VPN speed will vary even on pfSense based on what your workload is across there. So definitely a lot of considerations there. Fan clubs are weird. Yes, they are. Because this goes back to the two topics I've covered so far. The fan clubs of the people who do or do not like Signal, and the fan clubs of people who do or do not like OPNsense. And it's just the really weird behavior around it. Kind of drives me a little crazy sometimes. Especially a lot of the tech community can be, if you like A or B, you must hate the other products. And I'm like, no, sometimes it's just use cases where it's not a fit for what I want. But yeah. Did you ever poke at all the UniFi devices? Well, because I've been traveling, I haven't had a time to poke more at them. There are more of them that I'm testing, and so that's happening. I got more things to do, but I haven't got them all done yet. One of the things I did do was buy a camper. So that's been another project where I plan to do a little bit of traveling in a camper, and there was some things in there that this is a 4G, 5G booster, and the previous owner gave it to me, but it was also had a little cracked end, so I just had to fix this one of the little things I'm doing. So I do plan to do a little bit of camping, and I don't know how much I'm going to tech geek out the camper. If I do stuff, it came with like a Wi-Fi booster built in, so I don't really need that. And I got a 4G booster that I just fixed. And I don't know if there's a bunch of tech things I do to the camper, I will make a video on it. I haven't decided what I'm going to do other than probably put it's a place to relax. So there will be a Raspberry Pi in there with some games on it, retro games, because that's really where I like to be. So I prefer OPNsense a little, but I'm using pfSense now, mostly because of Tom's guides. Yeah. Can we all go back to PHPB forums? I'm not going to go to PHPB forums, but forums I like. I'm definitely a big fan of forums. Huge. Yes. Me and the bearded IT dad, we should go camping. So matter of fact, he's got me on Signal, man. Just message me because yes, I do want to travel. We will find a spot, and definitely do some traveling. I have to. It's my first time owning a camper. I've been camping, usually tent camping, but yes, we will figure out a way, and maybe we can get. Chris from Crosstalk also camps, so maybe we can get like a few of us going. There's actually a few different tech YouTubers that are into this, so that would be kind of fun meetup because we'll just nerd out together. Maybe we'll do a live stream together from a campground that has good Wi-Fi. What kind of testing you're doing? Any security or pen testing? Not specifically security or pen testing. That's outside of what I do. My day job is not pen testing. So, John Hammond, by the way, was also there. I will pull this up. So definitely if you want pen testing, John Hammond, that's the guy to learn. Me and John might do a video together. So I had an idea. I just got to put it together as an actual video. John Hammond did give a talk. So we'll, John Hammond, how to be a script kiddie. There we go. So I did some learning. I went to his session. Every time I try to check out the latest UniFi kit, they throw a new one out there and add to the list. Yes. I use Tailscale LXC on my Proxmox box. I will say Proxmox has a cool name because Proxmox box sounds great. It's not a tongue twister. It just sounds good. Yeah, I do like Tailscale. It works really good. Check out NetBird. I did a video on NetBird as well. I'm getting into Ansible and SSH keys. Do you use a secrets manager vault? Not really. I haven't figured out any good way that I need to. And most of the time we just have jump boxes with keys on them. That's been the solution, is have a jump box, keep your keys there, have a password on the SSH key. From the jump box, you can log into things. I mean, but if you're doing this at scale, yeah, secrets managers are the way to go. MoFi is what you use in your semi. Interesting. I have to look into that. Yeah. You have the big monster 38 foot long camper. MoFi modem with router and 5G internet works great. Yeah, I have I'm probably gonna do something like that because I got, like I said, I got this, which is the booster for there's an antenna on the roof, there's a booster, and then I use my phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot. So there's probably something better I could do, or I use the Google Fi. So there's other options with Google Fi, so you can get that. And then maybe I'll do the infamous travel router video that someone will want me to do, because I know people have asked about the travel routers, and maybe it's kind of a neat device that comes built into the camper. I don't know if it's worth doing a video on, but it's a little bit better than I expected. And immediately it had some firmware updates when I was setting up the camper. I was like, oh, cool. So there's some firmware updates. It's kind of a unique device that attaches to Wi-Fi on a campground with an antenna on the roof and then rebroadcasts it inside the camper. So it's pretty slick. Thank you for recommending the 2.5 Admins podcast. I started listening now and I'm absolutely hooked. Yeah, they're a great podcast. 2.5 Admins. By the way, if people didn't know this, we're actually where's this at? So we need to, if you go to my website, and I'll throw this link in here for you. If you go to my website, click on that link right here, you'll find the podcast I listen to. I think I have a couple more to add to this. I got to add, I think there's one more tech one I started listening to. I have more podcasts I listen to than this, but these are the technical ones that I enjoy. So Security Now, 2.5 Admins, Unsupervised Learning. Because it's harder with the YouTube channels and they change, these are all just listed as links. So yeah, these are great people on here. I thought I had the Bearded IT down here. I will add him. He will be added to here. This is keeping these up as I find other channels, but oh yeah, he's right here. Here's the Bearded IT dad. These are just not in alphabetical order. Maybe they are. I don't know what order they're in, but you can see them all on my page. Yep. Yep, Art of Network Engineering. I've added that one on there. So yeah, people ask some of the things I like. I've given my RSS feed out before for RSS feeds. My Fresh RSS video has a list of them in there because I use everything with Fresh RSS to get my news feeds aggregated together. But yeah, I don't mind sharing my sources. Matter of fact, I cite in videos my sources for lots of information because I don't want you just to take my word for it. I want to show you the supporting evidence of how I came up with an idea. It's also cue for people who want to engage me in the forums like, hey, Tom, you're supporting evidence. Here's contrary evidence. And then I go, oh, if that contrary evidence is valid, I change my mind, which also drives people crazy because they it's a weird thing that people get mad when people are stuck on something, but they then will start to call you a little bit of a flip flopper if you change your mind. I'm like, well, if new evidence is presented, it's not changing my mind. It's new evidence was presented. So I I I recommend things differently than I did 20 years ago because that's how we all progress. Yeah, just my thoughts on that. But you can check out that list of creators. Like I said, I keep it up to date on my website for different ones. But 2.5 Admins, great podcast. Definitely one of the more enjoyable ones out there. Oh, the other one I forgot. Open Source Security Podcast. Definitely another one too. Thank you for citing sources. I wish I could cite my sources better, but I don't have energy to focus on that. And I lose track of sources so fast. Look, my solution to how I get sources and everything else, and maybe I'll do a video on it. Maybe someone wants to hear my take on it, but it really comes down to like I build everything out of my second brain using a tool called LogSeek. I think I've mentioned it in my forums. I've not done a video on it, but man, LogSeek is great. And logseq.com. It's open source. It does markdown. And it, once again, people get passionate. I know some people really like, is it Obsidian? There's a couple other ones that people really, really like. But I like LogSeek because it just works for me. It fits the niche that I'm in. And it's how I build all of my knowledge base of things. And yeah, there's not much I was trying to see if I could share something. I can't share this version because there's nothing in it. This is just the demo version. But you can play with it as a free web-based demo and then load it as an application. But this is how I'm able to retain all of that data and build things. I recently started Obsidian, but everyone needs to find the tool that works for them. Yeah, and that's what I tell people. Ultimately, the best tool is the tool you're good at using and that you're going to use. That's the more important tool. I have a friend still using Evernote, and I won't argue with them about like whatever methodology lets them come up with how they're doing things. It comes down to because I forget the tool. I think there's a completely different one that Jay from Learn Linux TV likes, but it's fine. Like me and Jay, this is the thing, because we're rational people. We don't form our personalities and attach them to the editing tool, unless it's via Emacs, then you're in different territory there. But in terms of like generally editing tools, they come and go. I used to use Joplin for a little while. Joplin wasn't bad, but I had some quirkiness that the same as Jay did. So I was like, yeah. But it comes down to workflows and what makes you efficient. That's the biggest part. And it's usually more so the workflow than the tool for how you gather data, how you organize your data, because the tool doesn't solve the problem. You can't just tool your way out of your problems. You have to come up with a solution and a process for how you're going to do it. And then maybe you'll find a tool that fits that. So on that note, on the 2.5 Admins podcast, they mentioned doing pull backups instead of push. Does 2NAS replication support this backup model? Yes. Yeah, you can pull or push. I covered that in my more recent video on TrueNAS for their the ZFS replication video I recently did. There's just a pull down. It's pull or push, whichever way works for you. So both are valid inside of TrueNAS. And TrueNAS makes it easier. 2.5 Admins, I don't think they talk as much about the the TrueNAS, but they talk always about ZFS. They're usually talking about, and there's some good tooling they have. And matter of fact, is I just did a consulting job last week, just before I left, with someone who's using all the ZFS from the command line. It was funny because they asked me if I recommended to use TrueNAS, and I'm like, well, the reason I recommend TrueNAS is because not everybody knows ZFS from the command line. And a person goes, well, they were building a new product, but their day job, so to speak, was managing large scale ZFS servers all from the command line. I'm like, well, you already know how to do it. So I don't know that TrueNAS would offer you any benefit for something you already know how to do. So, sometimes that works out well. Yeah, please don't compare Vi to Emacs. Vi is a comprehensive, extensible editor, and Emacs is the GNU operating system kernel for general purpose desktop OS. Yeah. I know the fun debates between them, but the debate will live on in there. Is there open source AI? Is there an open source AI website builder for WordPress that you know of? I'm not aware of one. I don't know. There's an AI tool for everything, so maybe one exists. Hard to say. I'm not aware of one off the top of my head. I've been having occasional issues with cloud syncs, getting confused and deciding everything on the remote side is bad. Sadly, the services doesn't support or ZFS replication. Yeah. I did watch your TrueNAS video. Must have missed it about the pull backups. I just did them all as push, but it's just a pull down. The only thing different is you're going to start on the server that's doing the pulling versus I'm starting on the server that's doing the pushing. So it's just concept. And I thought I mentioned it. I just didn't do it both ways because it works one and the same. It's just where the initiation comes from. So it's not hard to set up. You just, if I have server A as here at my studio and server B is where the destination of the data, but I want it initiated from server B, then I would start that process I did in the video. The only thing different is I'm pulling the data versus the default of pushing. Most embarrassing moment? I have no idea. I'm positive whatever embarrassing moments I had, I've probably blocked them out because it's probably better for my mental psyche. Oh, man. Let's see here. What else we got? Any other questions? Because I'm going to wind it down. I have a few more things to do. I want to give my voice some time to recover because I have some videos to record. I got to get some videos out before I travel to my next event, which is going to be IT Nation Secure. Push versus pull security concern. Any server you can push can potentially commit to accept any data, requires control channel. Pull only takes yeah, it all depends. Honestly, because they're using keys to push them, I don't really see this as a huge deal. You're using SSH as a control channel with keys. If the keys change or the destination doesn't match, the data doesn't go. You'll get a key mismatch and it will fail. So if you mess with the keys on either end because it's using key authentication to push or pull, you're going to get a failure. It won't just send the data blindly. It does authentication each time and sets up the control channel via SSH. So you're not going to get any data going across if the key failures. Next set of videos and the topics. I have to do. I might do a QoS video. It's not going to be really long, but I'll talk a little about QoS as I did a consulting call today, and I realized I haven't touched on a QoS topic in pfSense in a while, so I might do a short video on QoS. I may do. I'm probably going to get that OPNsense video done, and I'm also going to get a video done for Fin, the cyber phishing company that I'm invested in. And I'll be very clear that the video is not I'm promoting a video that's not sponsored, but it is also a video that I am involved in because of my sponsor, because of my relationship financially with the company. But it's just going to be a short video. It'll be a little bit promotional because it's some features that I want them to have. So yeah, it'll definitely be pretty cool. When you're doing a poll, it still uses SSH to log in. So you just changed what side of which key has to be compromised. The thing still happens. So if someone gets a hold of the key on either side, they're either able to push or pull the data off the other server. So yeah, there's still a problem on either way. The concern is preventing lateral movement if the production server is somehow compromised. This theoretically is more likely than the backup server because by definition, products closer to users. Yeah, and I can agree with that. It's just the challenge of if a server has the ability to be a destination backup, and maybe you're right, not as likely to get compromised, but it now has keys to my production servers. Versus, yes, if you get my production servers there. So I agree with that in concept. Like the risk factor is moved by they have to start in my backups versus starting in production, laterally move over to a backup server, and that way. So I agree with that in theory. It's statistically less likely. But if someone compromises your backup servers, they can then go pivot from backup to production. But it's more likely for them to find a hole in some of your production environment, as you said, closer to users, and then pivot to your backups. Both are concerns. There are ways to mitigate this. There's a write-up someone put in my forums on that video talking about mitigations. The mitigations are kind of interesting where you put a lot of restrictions on what ZFS commands can be run. So there is a solution around it. You can't destroy the data on a server that is only capable of pulling backups. Yes, actually you can. If that's the server that gets compromised, the server doing the pulling, if it gets compromised, it can also, because it'll have SSH access, it can also send commands downstream. That's the problem. The pull commands are there's not a by default in TrueNAS. If you're talking about writing custom scripts where you sandbox the pull commands, yes. But right now, the way it works, it creates an SSH key so you can log in without restrictions. That's the problem. And ZFS itself command can be reversed on that. That's the problem too, because it's creating it has an SSH key that allows full access. That's where the flaw is. If it didn't have an SSH key, if it was simply a ZFS, we can only run this one command, then it would work. That's where the flaw is. It's not that it can't be done. It's just how it's been implemented is the challenge. That's what makes, I talked about that in the video. And it's like, it's that little nuance of, hey, they happen to install SSH keys that allow these things to talk to each other freely as root. And of course, for some reason, they have the option not to run as root. But if you don't check the run as root, you can't do the ZFS commands, and we're back to square zero. Now, you can restrict the commands to only the ZFS command, but it only looks at the ZFS binary. It doesn't look at what the binary is doing. So the extra parameters around it, send or receive, or ZFS delete all this stuff, are still able to be run. Yeah, once again, you can lock that server down quite a bit, but you can even stop. I'm sure you could just mess with the interface or restrict it in some way. You want to protect whatever server has the key to the other server. That's the one you don't want compromised. So, like I said, the best solution, as said by and I didn't listen to this particular episode. I guess it's the most recent episode they mentioned this, but yeah, doing the poll is the lowest risk, but not the zero risk. I think the write-up comes from Clara Systems, which is one of the people on the 2.5 admins. They have a write-up on how to do it. It's just not with TrueNAS. It's all from the command line. There is a way to do it where you can make the data only go one way. When the data only goes one way, the problem is it doesn't have a purge command. So you then have to build your own purge to get the latest data and then have a purge because it's not read write. There is a way to do it. There's a write up in my forums on it on there, but so it can be done. It's just not. They have not built this into TrueNAS yet. Is the best way I can describe it. But with that, I'm going to end there. My voice is getting a little bit worse as we talk, and I need my voice for tomorrow's festivities of making videos because I don't think I have any meetings tomorrow. Matter of fact, I think. Am I actually meeting free tomorrow? I am, which is awesome. I'm actually blocking out tomorrow. There we go. I do that now so no one fix in there. So Not in the most recent episode. They just mention it fairly frequently. Okay. Still on the 22. Yeah, I went back a while when I found them. I don't remember when I started listening to them, but yeah, there's a backlog. I've listened to a lot of the backlog of their episodes. Do check them out. If any of you are looking for a good fun podcast, they have a lot of great insights they share. Good people on there. Check out the 2.5 Admins podcast for sure. All right. That is it for now. It's time to go get pizza. So yes, you nailed it. My son decided he had to eat something other than pizza while I was gone because he stayed here, and so he's ready for some Domino's pizza, he said. So that's next on the list. All right, take care, everyone.